Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Dear humble, meritorious devotees, today also we are going to listen to another exposition of our great teacher, Tathagata Samma Sambuddha. As usual, first we shall take a few moments to pay our gratitude, pay our homage to our great teacher, who is the Blessed One, who is the Exalted One, and the Supremely Enlightened One, who is the Tathagata Gautama Samma Sambuddha. It is not an easy task to discover, to reveal the truths, real truths of the existence of ourselves and the existence of the other beings and the world. Though it is the most difficult task or the most difficult journey to become a Samma Sambuddha, to reveal these kind of realities by someone's own mind, without any external help, without any external favor, to become a Buddhahood, to achieve the Buddhahood, our Bodhisattva chose that path, that difficult path, to reveal these truths by putting so much effort and with many sacrifications. Those sacrifications are for the beings like you and me, who is suffering with an endless samsara. So our Bodhisattva was able to achieve that the supremely enlightened state, or the most noble state, the Buddhahood. That is why we should pay our respect, pay our gratitude to our great teacher whenever we memorize our teacher and his great teachings. Secondly, we should recognize our teacher's great teachings are the most valuable assets what we have today as the heritage of this Sambuddha Sasana. This Saddhamma prevails today in its pure level, which allows anyone who strives wisely, who strives effortfully and heedfully to achieve the all noble results what were taught by the Samma Sambuddha. These noble states can be achieved by following this Saddhamma. This Saddhamma contains all the contents, all the practices, all the paths, all the instructions to achieve all these noble states, noble paths and the noble fruitions as the external factors. If someone can develop or improve the internal factors which are required to achieve these noble states, with the help of these external factors, which is the Saddhamma, that person can harvest all the noble paths and all the noble fruitions within this life or within this Sambuddha Sasana. So that's why we should pay our homage to this Saddhamma, because it prevails today as our teacher. Thirdly, we should recognize the Mahasangha in two different categories. The first and foremost category represents the all noble beings who have achieved the four noble paths and four noble fruitions, and who have achieved the deathless, who have ended this samsara by removing all the defilements, all the fetters, by practicing this Saddhamma, by following the instructions or the advices given by the Samma Sambuddha. And they are the real evidence, ultimate evidences for our great teacher, his teachings and these noble states in this sasana. And the second category represents all the Mahasanghas who have put effort to protect this Saddhamma, who have done so many sacrifications on behalf of the protection of this Saddhamma. Because of their sacrifications, from the Buddha's era until today, they have conveyed this Saddhamma in its pure level to our hands. On behalf of these two categories, we should pay our homage to the Mahasangha as a person who is trying to achieve the real results in this asana. Having paid the homage to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, let's commence today's sermon. I have chosen a sutta called Purisapiya Sutta from the same Pali canon, which is the Itivuttaka Pali. As usual, we can find the statement as per the other suttas, the usual statement, Uttang hetam bhagavata uttang arahata iti me sutang. This is said by the Blessed One, this is said by the Arahant, who is Tathagata Samma Sambuddha, so I have heard, which reveals this sutta is originally taught by the Buddha himself. Then we directly go to the first statement of the sutta. I will quote the Pali text first. Sayatapi bhikkhave puriso nadiya sotena ovu heya Purusapata rupena tamenan chakkuma puriso tire tito diswa evang vadeya. This sutta is a special one because Buddha has given a small story as a metaphor, as a simile, to give the Dhamma meaning later. So we should follow the story first. So I will tell the story and I will discuss about the story and the points which are given in this story first. In this first statement, the meaning is a person, a man, he sees a valuable object or the pleasurable or a desirable object. It can be a golden object, a gem, or any kind of valuable object which is being carried by the water flow of the river, which is being taken by these water streams to the downwards of the river. So that person, that man, sees that valuable object. Now he has an intention to obtain that, to possess that valuable object. In order to obtain that object, the valuable object, he decided to step into that river, that powerful water streams. Then after the stepping into the river, then he also being carried downwards of the river. After stepping into the river, he may have obtained that valuable object, or sometimes he may have not obtained that valuable object. But though he have obtained or not, now he is being carried downwards of the streams. This story or this incident is being watched by another person who is in the river bank with a good vision and with a good eyesight. So he sees this incident and he gives an advice to this first person who is being taken by the river. What is that advice? Kinchapi kothwang ambho purisa nadiya sotena ovu hesi Purusapata rupena attichetta hetta rahado saumi savatto sagaho sarakkaso yanthwang ambho purisa papunitva maranang va nigacchasi marana mattang va dukkhanti. This second person tries to give an advice to this person, to the first person who is being taken by the river. What is that advice? That second person has a good vision. He can see the end of this river, where it ends, and what would experience by this first person who is being taken by the river. He is giving an advice to the first person. My dear friend, now because of the valuable object, you wanted to take that, you wanted to obtain that valuable object, so you have stepped into that river, in that water stream. Now you are being taken downwards by the river. But remember, I can see the end of that river. This river is going to end with a huge, deep, wide lake. That is the Hettarahado. Deep, wide, huge lake. And there are so many water ripples, water waves, and there are hurricanes, the huge whirlpools, and also there are dangerous creatures, dangerous beings like sharks, the demons, and the vicious-minded monsters. So if you are going downwards, if you are being taken to the huge wide lake, then you will experience the death or death-like sufferings. That is the advice given by the second person who was in the riverbank. Now that advice was taken by that first person. He listens to that second person and his advice. So what he tries to do, it gives that Atako Bhikkave Puriso Tassa Purisassa Saddan Sutva Hattehi cha Padehi cha Patisotam Vayameya. What he is doing by that, the first person, he tries to follow that advice given by the second person. He thinks about that. That person is saying there is a huge wide lake with water ripples, water waves, hurricanes, whirlpools, and it contains dangerous sharks, demons and monsters. So if it is true, I should try to get rid of this water stream. I should try to cross this river. Then he put efforts in that water stream by his 2 hands and 2 legs. By these 4 parts of the 4 body parts, he is trying to get rid of the water stream. He is trying to cross this river. And he put efforts to the opposite directions of the water flow. That means the upwards. This is a story given by the Buddha as a metaphor, as a simile, to give the Dhamma meaning based on this metaphor, based on this story. That is given by the Buddha. Upamako me ayang bhikkhave kata atthassa viññāpanāya. My dear disciples, I have given this story, the simile or the metaphor, to show the meaning of this story, to represent the Dhamma meaning. What is that meaning? Before we going to analyze the story, we should try to highlight, we should try to point out the 9 major points in this story first. What are those 9 major points? The first one is Nadiya Soto, the powerful water stream or the river with powerful water streams. The second thing is the Piyarupa Satarupa. The second thing is the valuable, the desirable, pleasurable object what the person wanted to obtain. That is the second point. And the third point is Hettarahado, the deep, wide lake which is located at the end of the river, which is located in the downside of the river. The The fourth one is Saumi, the water ripples and water waves which are not that much strong in the lake. The fifth one is Savatto. It is the very huge, powerful water waves or the hurricanes or the whirlpools which are in the lake. And the next one is, the sixth one is Sagaho Sarakkaso. What is that? That is the dangerous sharks, dangerous beings who lives in the lake, deep, wide, huge lake, and the demons and the vicious-minded monsters. And the seventh one is Patisoto. Patisota means the opposite direction of the water flow. That means the upwards, which is the opposite side of this river. And the eighth point is Hattehicha Padehicha Vayamo. The effort put by the person who is being taken by the river by using his 4 body parts. That means that with 2 legs and 2 hands. The ninth point and the last one is Chakkuma Puriso Thiretito. Who is in the riverbank? The second man in the riverbank with a good eyesight and a good vision. This is a story and the 9 major points which the Buddha wanted to highlight to represent the real Dhamma meanings of this story. By step, we should analyze the points and why Buddha wanted to give these points and what represents these points of this story in this metaphor. The first one is Nadya Soto. The Buddha is saying, Nadya Soto Tiko Bhikkave Tanha Etang Adhivachana. My dear disciples, in this story, I have given the river simile to represent the craving or the greediness. The Buddha has given this metaphor to represent the craving because there are some similarities between the river and the craving. What are those similarities? In the commentary, it was given there are 4 similarities in between the river and the craving. What are those 4 similarities? The first one is in terms of magnification and in terms of the continuity. The third one is subsidence and the fourth one is difficulty in crossing. When we take the first similarity in the terms of magnifications, when we consider a river from the beginning to the end, at the beginning usually the rivers began from water springs from the top of the mountain. It is very small water flow from the spring. Someone can block that water spring very easily by using a single hand. That is that much small water stream which flows from that water spring. But when it comes to the downside of the mountain, it accumulates the water, other water springs, other water streams, and with few kilometers downside of the mountain, then it will become a huge, a powerful water stream that cannot be blocked or that cannot be stopped by a single hand. Now that person need a dam or other external helps because it is not easy to stop this powerful water stream or change the direction of this water stream. That is the nature of the river. At the beginning it's very small, and with the time and with the distance it will become a huge powerful water stream. In terms of that magnifications, the craving is also the same. At the beginning, when a person sees a pleasurable or a desirable thing, then at the first moment he has a thought about that valuable thing with a greediness, based on the craving. It's a very small thought, it's not that much strong. If that person wants to avoid that craving or that the thought, he can easily avoid that. He can easily get rid of that craving thinking. But if he thinks about that craving, if he thinks about that desirable, pleasurable, valuable thing or object again and again, with the time, it will be strong, it will be powerful. That mind requests that object to obtain or possess that object. Now it is not that much easy to avoid that craving. Now it has become very strong, very powerful. Likewise, the craving at the beginning, it's very small, it can be avoided very easily, but with the time, it becomes very strong, very powerful, and it is very difficult to avoid. It is very difficult to prevent. In terms of that magnifications, the river and the craving is similar. That's why the Buddha wanted to represent the craving by using a river metaphor. The second quality, the second similarity is the continuity. When we consider a river at the beginning to the ending point, it can be ended with a lake, it can be ended with the ocean or the sea. From the beginning point to the ending point, in the whole river path contains the water. We cannot say that the particular distance, particular area is without the water stream, because from the beginning point to the ending point, all the areas are covered with the water streams, water flow. That is the continuity in the river. As same as this quality, similarity, the craving, our life is covered with the craving. We cannot say that in that particular time we didn't have the craving. That craving flows to the ending point, which ends with the sea of hell. In terms of this continuity, the river and the craving is similar. The third quality, the third similarity is the subsidence. When a creature steps into a river, intentionally or unintentionally, then because the water streams, water flow is very strong, that river does not let that creature go off that river. That creature will drown in that river. It will sink in that river because of the powerful water stream. Likewise, that river, the craving is also the same. When a person is attached to the craving, then that craving does not let go off the craving to that being, to that person. That craving does not allow to rise the head of wisdom, and it will cut off all the roots of the meritorious actions or the meritorious deeds, and it will allow to defilements to be activated. The defilements and the fetters will come to the play. In that subsidence quality, the river and the craving is same. The last and the fourth similarity is difficulty in crossing. When a creature steps into the river, that because of the powerful water streams, it's not easy to get rid of that water streams. It's not easy to cross that river. He should have a boat, a raft or a ship or any kind of external helps, or he has to put so much effort by using hands and the legs to cross that river. That much difficult to cross that river because of these strong water streams. Similarly, the craving, when someone is attached with craving, it is very difficult to go off that craving. It is very difficult to cross or avoid that craving. There are so many things to do to avoid that craving. Sometimes he have to practice the virtue, morality, percepts. He has to practice the meditation in tranquilities and the insight to provide the absorptions and the insight wisdoms. And he has to do so many duties to cross that craving, to avoid that craving. It is not that much difficult. It is not that much easy. It's very difficult to avoid that craving. He has to put so much effort internally with his practices, and sometimes he need external help such as Dhamma and the good friends. In terms of these four qualities, Buddha has given that river metaphor to represent that craving. The second quality, the second point is the Piyarupa Satarupa. Buddha is saying, Piyarupa Satarupantiko Bhikkave Channetan Ajhattikanang Ayatana Adivachanam. My dear disciples, I have given this, the valuable, desirable, pleasurable object, to represent the 6 internal sense faculties, which we take the external objects to the inside. What are those 6 internal sense faculties? The first one is the eye faculty, which takes the sights, which takes the visionaries, the visual objects. The second one is the ear faculty, which takes the sounds or the audible objects. The third one is the nose faculty, which takes the smells or the aromatic objects. The fourth one is the tongue faculty, which takes the tastes, the gustatory objects. The fifth one is the body faculty, which takes the touches, the tactical or tangible objects. The sixth one is the mind, which takes the mental objects. These are the 6 internal sense faculties which we use to connect with the external world, which we use to take the external objects, the pleasurable, desirable, pleasing objects, to our inside, to enjoy for in the mean of enjoyment. So the Buddha has given the second metaphor, the Piyarupa Satarupan, the valuable object. Because of the valuable object, that person stepped into that huge, powerful water streams to obtain that. Likewise, through these 6 internal sense faculties, we are trying to obtain so many things from the external world. We are trying to achieve, we are trying to enjoy different kind of objects, pleasurable objects, through these sense faculties. When we come to the third point, Buddha is saying, Hetta rahadotiko bhikkave pancannang orambhagyanang sanyojananang adivachanam. My dear disciples, I have given this deep, wide lake located at the end of this river, the downside of the river, to represent the 5 lower fetters. When we consider about these fetters, altogether there are 10 fetters which are to be eradicated by the different stages of this noble path. There are 10 fetters. The first one is the self-identity view, or the belief in a self, or the self-illusion. That is called the Sakkaya Ditthi. The second one is the doubt or the uncertainty or the skepticism which is called the vichikicha. The third one is the attachment to the rites and rituals, or the grasping at the precepts and the practices, which is called the silabbata paramasa. The fourth one is the sensual desire or the sensual lust, which is called the kama raga. The fifth one is the ill will, which is called the patigha. These first 5 fetters we call the orambhagya sanyojana, and it is called the lower fetters. These 5 lower fetters are the reason to be limited with the kama loka, with the kama realm, because if these fetters are activated, if these fetters can be seen in a person's mind, then he will not take a chance to go to the material realm, the rupa loka, or the immaterial realm, arupa loka. There are another 5 fetters, we are called the 5 higher fetters, which is called the Udhambhagya Sanyojana, which allows to go to the immaterial realm and the material realm. What are those 5 high fetters? The first one is the lust for the material existence, or the lust for the form, the rupa raga. The second one is the lust for the immaterial existence, the lust for what is formless. The third one is the conceit, the mana. The fourth one is the restlessness, the uddacha. And the last one, the fifth one is the ignorance, the avidya. These are called, the second 5 set of fetters are called the 5 high fetters. But here, by the deep wide lake, Buddha wanted to represent the 5 lower fetters, which is called the Orambhagya Sanyojana, 5 lower fetters. The self-weave, the uncertainty or the doubt, the attachment to the rites and rituals, the sensual lust or the sensual desire, and the ill will. The fourth one, the fourth metaphor is Saumi, the waves, ripples which are in the lake. Buddha is saying, Saumitiko bhikkave kodupayassetan adivachana. My dear disciples, I have given this the wave ripple metaphor to represent the kodupayasa. Upayasa is the tribulation. The kodupayasa means the companionship or the association with the anger, which is being pervaded with the anger. The fifth metaphor is Savatto, the huge, powerful waves, the hurricanes and the whirlpools which are located in this deep wide lake. Why Buddha has given this metaphor? Savattotiko bhikkave pancannam kama gunanam adivachana. My dear disciples, I have given this hurricane, whirlpool metaphor to represent the 5 strings of sensuality. What are those 5 strings of sensualities? They are the objects of enjoyment. We are connected to the external world. We are taking the sensual objects in 5 different ways. They are the visual objects, the audible objects, the aromatic object, gustatory objects, and the tangible objects. These objects have different inherent qualities with each of them. Those are called the Kama Guna, 5 strings of sensuality. Simply we can say the objects of enjoyment, 5 strands of the sensual pleasures. Because these pleasures are to be enjoyed by the 5 internal sense faculties. They are called the Kama Guna, the qualities which are in the 5 different objects, which are the visual objects, audible objects, aromatic object, gustatory objects, and the tangible objects. The qualities, inherent qualities in each of them, they are called the Kama Guna, 5 strings of the sensuality. Then the next one, the 6th one is Sagaho Sarakkaso, the dangerous beings who live in this deep wide lake, or the monsters, the demons, the vicious-minded monsters who live in this deep, wide, huge lake. Why the Buddha wanted to give that metaphor? Sagaho sarakkasotiko bhikkave matugamasetang adivachana. My dear disciples, I have given this demons, vicious-minded monsters metaphor to represent the opposite sex. Here it's the woman. So these women, the opposite sex here, represent the vicious-minded monsters and the demons and the dangerous creatures, beings live in that deep wide lake. Because when a person goes to a realm of a demon who has the magical power, spells, then that person is spelled by these magical powers of that demon. If that person can be a heroic person, very strong person, powerful person, but when he is spelled by these magical powers of that demon, then his powers will be decreased. Sometimes by the magical powers, that demon will show the very horrible images, and sometimes that person has to give up all the wealth, all the members in his family, and all the qualities, all the money and all the valuable objects he possessed, and he has to experience the death or the death-like misery. Same as this metaphor, the Buddha wanted to give the meaning of this metaphor as the woman. When a heroic person, heroic man, comes to a vicinity of a woman, because of the qualities of that woman, sometimes he is being spelled by that woman's talking, by that woman's weaves, and sometimes smells. Because of these qualities of that woman, his heroic qualities will be decreased, and sometimes he will experience the bad results because of the spell of that woman. That's why the Buddha wanted to represent that metaphor by the woman. Then the 7th metaphor. These 4 metaphors are 5 metaphors. That is the valuable object, the deep wide lake, the first, the craving, and the deep wide, the valuable object, and the third one is the deep wide lake, and the 4th one is the ripples and the waves in that lake, and the 5th one is the very huge waves, the hurricanes and the whirlpools in that lake, and the 6th one is the demons or the vicious-minded monsters live in that lake. Those 6 metaphors and the meaning of these metaphors are giving the bad objects or bad points which gives the bad results to that person. In that metaphor, that person will experience the bad results because of these 6 bad qualities, 6 bad things. In the meaning, also that person experience the bad results because of the meanings, the representations of these metaphors. What are those 6 things? The first, the craving. The second one is the valuable, pleasurable objects. That means the 6 internal sense faculties. The third one is the 5 lower fetters, and the fourth one is the attachment or the companionship or the association with the anger. Then the 5 strings of the sensuality, and the 6th one, the last one, is the opposite sex, the woman. Then the Buddha starts to express, to give the other 3 metaphors which is giving the good results to that person. What are those 3 metaphors given in the story? The first one is the Patisoto, the opposite side of the water flow, water stream. Why this opposite side is mentioned? Patisototi ko bhikkave nekkammassetang adivachana. My dear disciples, I have given this opposite side, opposite directions for the water flow, water stream, to represent the renunciation, the giving up the physical or the mental things, to put the efforts for the liberation. This represents the renunciation. Here, what is meant by the renunciation? In the commentary, it says a verse like this: Pabbajja pataman jhanam nibbanancha vipassana sabbepi kusala dhamma nekkammanti paucchare. Here, by the term nekkamma, Buddha wanted to represent 5 different things. What are those 5 different things? First one is a pabbajja, the monkhood. The second one is the patamanjhana, the first level of absorption with the upachara. That is the tranquility and the results of that tranquility. The third one is the vipassana. Vipassana is the insight, which gives the insight wisdom as the result. The fourth one is the sabbepi kusala dhamma, all kind of meritorious acts or meritorious deeds. And the nibbana, the liberations, the ultimate nibbana, is the fifth one. These 5 different things are meant by the nekkamma in this sutta. That nekkamma represented by the patisota, the opposite direction of the water flow in that metaphor. We can identify, we can describe this further when we describe the second good quality in that metaphor. That is the hattehicha padehicha vayamo. When that person who is being carried downwards of that river, after he listens to the second person's admonish or the advice, then he tries to put effort towards the opposite direction of the water stream by using his 2 legs and the 2 hands with these 4 body parts. Why Buddha wanted to give these 4 body parts as a metaphor? Hattehicha padehicha vayamoti ko bhikkave viryarambassetang adivachana. These 4 body parts, the putting effort by these 4 body parts, represents the viryarambha, the rightful effort, rightful exertions in that path. This represents the sixth part of the Noble Eightfold Path, which is called the Samma Vayama. What are those four rightful exertions or the four right efforts? The first one is the rightful effort to eradicate the already prevailing akusalas, already prevailing unmeritorious deeds. The second one is the right effort to prevent new akusalas from arising. The third right effort is the right effort to acquire the new kusalas, to acquire the new meritorious deeds. The fourth one is the right effort to develop the prevailing kusalas, the already prevailing kusalas, already prevailing meritorious deeds. Those are the four right efforts or the right exertions given by the sixth step of the Eightfold Noble Path. We can say these by four Pali terms. We call that Pahana Padhana, Sangvara Padhana, Bhavana Padhana and Anurakkana Padhana. What is the Pahana Padhana? That is the abandonment of the sensualities, and the Sangvara Padhana means the restraint. The Bhavana Padhana is the cultivation. Anurakkana Padhana is the preservations. These are another method to describe the right exertions, the right efforts towards the liberation. These right efforts were represented by the Hattehicha Padehicha Vayama, the efforts put by the four body parts. This metaphor is given by the Buddha to represent these four kind of efforts. The third one is the Chakkuma Puriso Thire Tito. That person, the second person who was in the river bank, who has the good vision and the good eyesight. Why Buddha wanted to give that metaphor? Chakkuma Puriso Tire Titotiko Bhikkave Tathagatassetang Adivachanang Arhato Samma Sambuddhasati. This second person who has given the advice to the person who is being taken by the river represent the Blessed One, the Arahant One, who is the Tathagata Gautama Samma Sambuddha. This is a story and the meaning story behind. First, the Buddha has given the metaphor to give the small idea, the simple idea with the story. And then he described the part by part of this metaphor by pointing out the 9 parts of this story. They are called the first one is the river. It represents the craving. The second one is the valuable, pleasurable object. It represents the 6 internal sense faculties. The third one is the deep wide lake located at the downwards of the river. It represents the 5 lower fetters. The fourth one is the waves and the ripples in the lake. It represents the companionship or the association with the anger. The fifth one is the hurricanes or the whirlpools located in the river, in the lake. They represent the 5 strings of the sensuality. And the sixth one is the monsters, the vicious-minded monsters and demons and the dangerous sharks live in that deep wide lake, which represent the woman. And the seventh one is the the opposite direction of the water stream, it represents the renunciation. The eighth one is the effort put by the four body parts. It represents the four rightful efforts. And the last one, the ninth one, is the second person who is in the river bank with a good vision, represent the Gautama Samma Sambuddha. This is a story that is not just a fairy tale, because this is the story of ourselves. The Buddha is giving that story to give the simple meaning, and then he describes the real Dhamma meaning of behind this story. This is the story of all our of you and me and all our beings, because we all are attached to the craving. Because of that craving, because of that greediness, we are stepping into the river of the craving through these 6 internal sense faculties to find the pleasurable, desirable objects from the external world. Then we experience the companionship or the association with the anger, and we will have the 5 lower fetters, and also we will experience the 5 strings of the sensuality, and because of the woman and because of the opposite sex, we will have the bad results in this life as well as the next lives to come. This is a story of all of us. This story we cannot identify what is the cause, what is the what we are suffering from, what is the cause for the suffering, and what we should do to get rid of this suffering, and what is the path for the renunciation, for what is the path for the liberation, and what kind of liberation we should achieve. That knowledge, that wisdom, we cannot take by ourselves. That's why the Buddhas come into this world to show the path, to show the real suffering, why you are suffering, what are the causes for the suffering, what kind of a liberation you should achieve, and what is the path for that liberation. That is the second person who is in the river bank, represent the Samma Sambuddha. They discover, they reveal the realities of the existence of ourselves, existence of all the beings, and existence of this world. Then he has the loving kindness towards you and us, towards all the living beings. He wants to help. He wants to help to get rid of this suffering. He wants to help all the beings to end up the endless samsara by giving the advices. Because now we cannot experience the bad results, what we will experience in future. It may be within this life or the next lives yet to come. We don't have an idea, the right real idea. We don't have what we are going to experience in future. But that Tathagata Samma Sambuddha can see the future, can see the results of what we are doing today. If we are doing the meritorious deeds, if we are doing the unmeritorious deeds, he can see the results. He can see the causes and the results. So because of that, by seeing those results, those sufferings which are yet to come in the future, he is giving the advices. He is preaching Dhamma to the beings, to the world. These are the sufferings you are being suffered now. These are the suffering you are going to suffer in future. you will experience the death, you will experience the death-like miseries in future again and again. That is your journey without an end. It's an endless samsara. So if you are going towards this samsara, if you are going with that river of craving, you will experience so many bad results in future. That's why he preached Dhamma. He is giving the advices. He admonishes what should we do now. He is preaching Dhamma, that he is showing the bad results which are ahead of us. He is giving, my dear disciples, you are going to experience those kind of bad results in future. So it's better to put your efforts towards the renunciations. In this commentary, I have shown the 5 kinds of renunciations. That is the pabbajja patamanjhanam nibbanancha vipassana sabbepi kusala dhamma nekkammanti paucchari. The Tathagata Samma Sambuddha is giving advices. You have to put rightful efforts by avoiding the prevailing akusalas, by preventing the new akusalas from arising, by acquiring new kusalas, and by the preservations, by developing the prevailing kusalas. These 4 kind of rightful efforts, rightful exertions, we have to deploy, we have to put towards these renunciation. What kind of renunciation? We have to put our efforts to these 5 kind of renunciations. What are those? We have to put our efforts to the monkhood. If we can become a monk, if we can ordain, we should put our efforts to that monkhood. Secondly, we should put our rightful effort towards the tranquility. The tranquility to achieve the results as the absorptions through this tranquility. We have to put our efforts to achieve the harvest, the results of this tranquility. And the third one, we should put our rightful effort towards the vipassana, towards the insight, in order to achieve the insight wisdoms. The fourth one is sabbepi kusala dhamma. We have to put our rightful efforts towards the all kind of meritorious deeds. And the fifth one, the last one, we have to put our rightful efforts by using these 4 kind of rightful efforts towards the liberation. That is the advice given by the Samma Sambuddha. As a follower, as a real disciple, we should follow these advices given by the Samma Sambuddha. Otherwise, we will be limited. We will be in the middle of endless samsara, endless suffering, and we will not be able to achieve the liberation. If someone can listen to his real teachings, these kind of advices, and follow all the instructions, the paths and the practices heedfully, wisely, and effortfully, that person can achieve all the expected results, noble paths and the noble fruitions as Buddha expected. And he can become the real disciple of Samma Sambuddha. So I'm going to end up today's sermon now. So I would like to send all these kind of meritorious deeds, the listening to Dhamma, preaching Dhamma, the recalling Dhamma, these kind of all meritorious deeds, I would like to send to our teachers who have ordained us, who have taught Dhamma and who are teaching Dhamma to us, to achieve their expecting noble paths and fruitions. And also, I would like to send all the merits, all the meritorious deeds towards the relatives and the friends who have passed away, in the name of you and in the name of us. And may they all receive these all merits, and may these all merits cause for their well-being, and may all these causes will be a cause to achieve all the noble paths and fruitions within this Sambuddha Sasana. And also I would like to send these merits towards all the devas, all the brahmas, who is protecting us, who is protecting you, this world, this country, and this Sambuddha Sasana. May they all receive these all merits, and because of these merits, may they achieve, they are expecting noble paths and fruitions within this Sambuddha Sasana. And I would like to wish all the listeners, all the devotees who have joined for this sermon, may all you have a pleasing, desirable life, and may you have a good, desirable, pleasing lives until you achieve the liberations, and all these merits may be a cause to achieve your expecting noble paths and fruitions within this life or within this Sambuddha Sasana. I would like to, may you all have the blessings of the noble triple gems, Theruvan Saranai,